Hello, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
I am well. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy National Women's History Month.
Look, all of that. My birthday, baby. You look. God knew what he was doing. He knew. He knew.
Okay. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Yes, baby. I'm 440. 44.
Nice. That's good. That's a blessing because some of us are not making it.
Everybody not making it. Everybody is not making it. My uncle had a heart attack. I'm praying right now. He's 61, which is still young, but you got to
Yeah,
live every day to the fullest.
yeah. I hope that hope he gets better.
I just want them to be comfortable. My thing is once they put your purpose is filled, then let you go.
Yeah.
Because we are spiritual people having a human experience. We get caught up in that human experience. But it's all spiritual, baby.
Yeah, it is. And we are at war. So
Hey, every day when they say the principality, spirituality and
in
principality,
high places.
high and low places.
Okay.
But yes, the high places.
They are
Look,
the
we already on. We started.
all right, so let's do this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I really I be trying to get more females. It'd be hard trying to get these females to come and talk to me. They just I don't know, but one day I'll be
It's
doing
coming.
that.
It's coming.
So let's do this. Okay. Welcome to Say What in the Streets. This is Conversations with Say What, and I am your host, Chivonne Say What. Today we have a guest that I am so excited to talk to today. I met this young lady, I don't know, a couple years ago at an event, and I've just been following her work ever since. And I'm so glad that she's here today to share with you guys. So let's put a warm welcome together for Miss Crystal Perry of Melanated Pearl Corp.
Hey, like I just say, hey world, it's your girl Melanated Pearl bringing that black light to things that aren't quite right. So yes, Crystal Perry, founder of Melanated Pearl. We are a 501c3 nonprofit located in Clayton County, serving all of Clayton County and Metro Atlanta. And again, we believe in the Pearl Girl, Melanated Pearls. Pearl stands for passionate, engaged, activist, resisting limits. If you're a black woman in these United States, every day that you get up, open your eyes is an act of activism. And so we just actively want to live in our mission, which is to educate, uplift, and empower women, black women in particular.
So let's talk about your journey, how you got to where you are today. Tell the viewers where you're from and then how you got into Melanated Pearl.
So originally, I am from Columbus, Georgia, Muskogee County, believe it or not. But I am a Georgia girl through to the bone. I like to tell people I grew here. I didn't flew here. So and then in my teenage years, my father moved us actually to Clayton County and then to Cab. And I was able to go to Agnes Scott College, which is an all women's college, where, really my journey started because back in 96, it was a PWI. I got a full scholarship. And the first thing that I was able to do there was to design my own degree, which was in Africana Studies. So when I graduated in 2000, and part of my story also is I had twins while I was in college, and was in leadership positions, unmarried. And what does that mean at a women's college for a black girl? On a scholarship. So, I mean, it's all kinds of dips and dives. So that's why that pearl, that resisting limits is so important. Fast forward to today. Actually, Melanated Pearl was actually birthed at Agnes Scott because I went back to my alma mater 20 years later, and got another scholarship in their writing and digital communications program. So I have it right now, 3 degrees. One, as I said, bachelor's in Africana Studies from Agnes Scott in 2000. I am an educator at heart, so I do have a master's in early education from Georgia State, Panthers all the way. And then, as I said, I recently got a second master's in writing and digital communication from Agnes Scott, where I birthed Melanated Pearl to really start sharing the story of, myself as a Black female and carving the path, because I am a woman. The thing that's unique about me, I'm a woman that was surrounded by Black men, meaning I have two younger brothers. I am the mother of twin boys. I was a woman raised with her father. Was a daddy's girl, and I am married. I've been married for 21 years. So Black men surround me. However, my passion, my mission, my purpose is to, one, be a certain type of Black woman that I feel like I am, but also to model for Black women that we get to have our own place and position in the midst of Black women, and it's not a competition. And so I'm unique in that I definitely support Black men, their story, their struggle, but I will not let Black women get lost in that, because the thing that is unique about every Black man and every Black woman is that we came from a Black female. And that is the story that we now have to focus on to heal, to progress, to break generational curses. And I know that's a lot, but kind of that's where the melanated, so I'm unapologetically about Black female. One, because every ethnicity lies within our DNA, and I apologize for my dog in the back. But, we care for everyone in history, but also in our living body, because you got a little Asian in your family, little Indian in your family, everything runs through our veins.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about some of the programs that Melanated Pearl Corp has to offer in the community.
So really, if I going back into history, I know I just kind of, threw a lot at you, but it actually started, as I said, in school. And one of my first projects was called 1 in 13. People do not realize this. Right now, 40% of adults, that means anyone in the state of Georgia over the age of 18, 40% are involved in the criminal justice system. And of course, when you look at Black communities in particular, that number increases. But I do want to be very clear that jail, prison is big business in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at that and you go back historically and just, slavery, how slavery became the patron system, where again, the chain gang system, the unfair way, all of that stuff around the 13th Amendment and how we know Black men have been treated in this country. There is a story of what happened to those Black women, those families that were left fatherless. And then fast forwarding, as I said, to 2018, which is when I established the organization. And one of the reasons that I launched it is that both of those brothers that I spoke of went to jail within a week of each other. And of course, all the women in our family were completely jarred. My sister-in-law immediately lost a second income. My brother is the father of 5 children. Again, here's another cycle where dad is gone. My mother, again, the guilt of, we grew up with parents who were on drugs, but she's now, not off drugs, but just the guilt of what you expose someone to for why he got there. And we don't talk about that. That's what happens to Black women when Black men go to jail. Also, the creation of a bill, because now we got to put money on his books because we got to make sure he can eat. And we're talking about lawyers. So not only is there a lack of income, you literally have created now a bill in this structure. And even if you want to, have it costs me $5 to put $100 on my brother's books. Mm-hmm. And then you're charging an upcharge in jail for any of the products that they're using. And again, there's no rehabilitation or restoration in sight. What does that now mean for those Black men who now come back into the community and go back to those Black women and those families? So when you asked about where Melanated Pearl started, that really was kind of the first seed that was planted in the ground. And the thing that sprouted from that was that Black women, one, needed confidence. I then realized that every Black woman I knew was working a 9-to-5, working a part-time job, and doing some hair, and making some shea butter, and making some plates, right? Still on the hustle. And I'm like, how do we create entrepreneurship in that? Because if you think back to the civil rights movements, those movements would not have worked if Black women weren't cooking the chicken and the sandwiches. We had to be part of that economic engine. We might not have been the highlights, the speakers, but we were what made that engine run. If you look at economics today, even with fashion, anything, hair, We are the liquid money. I always talk about the bag. We are the bag. We are the ones who spend money in America that keeps things flowing. And when you put those things together, I feel like, yes, there's a lack of financial literacy, but really, Black women have never been given permission to be in control of their own lives. And so when we started our program, that's really what we started, like truly trying to help women launch their business. Guess what? COVID hit, and it was the presidential election, and then something very interesting happened in Clayton County as Clayton County became on a national map because we, a little dot here in the South Metro, turned Georgia blue. 88% of Black women voted. Clayton County is 69% African American. We came out, COVID hit, the airport closed, the school system went completely virtual, and for lack of a better word, Black women were left out to dry, and I was pissed off. And I again had the ability to go to my husband and say, I want to invest in my community. I was able to contract. The first funding we got was directly contracted from me working at schools because, as I said, I'm an educator.
Mhm.
Paying people's rent, paying the rent of some of the women who we had just launched the program for them to start their business to get their products in people's homes. So we did like coronavirus packages. Because the thing is, you got to use that shea butter to know you want, and you got to, you're in competing with Target. How do we help get Black women's products in other Black women's homes if
Right.
it's a good product? And so much of what we were doing was just that.
Mhm.
And then really the Mother of Pearl, which is one of our signature programs, grew out of that because people ultimately need funding. I need to get my rent paid. I can't work. If you have children under the age of 9 in the school system, there was a year that you could not work. Clayton County in particular never went back. There was never a in-person option.
Wow.
You think about moms who do whatever they need to do while their children are at school so that they can make money. We can, have whatever conversations, but Black women, women in general, are doing what they need to do to feed their families. But
Right.
now if my child is there, what do I do for my income?
Right. That's
And
crazy.
that was the situation. Those were the stories I was hearing. Domestic violence went through the roof. I've been with a man for 11 years. He's never put his hands on me, but now I got a black eye, a busted lip, and I need somewhere to go right now. And that is what was happening on my phone, and some of the first people that we were able to fund. And then thankfully there was a response from United Way. We got our first 25,000, and I'm one, I believe, open hands. Anybody who knows me, when I got the money, I gave it right out. And for anybody who's new in a nonprofit, get your structural systems together. But I have been successful because I'm actually doing the work. I love that you said you're following me, but if you're following me, you'll see me, my van, we're out. We're having the conversations.
Yeah.
We're meeting with people.
Yeah.
If you owe 2-3 months, that's $3,000. We got two. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Helping people get into daycares. If you had COVID, your parent, your child had COVID, parents were in the hospital.
Mhm.
Um, all of this stuff was happening, and it's like, even as a part of our funding, we had wellness check to just call people to just say, how you are you yet holding on?
Mhm. Nice.
So the human aspect is what I really tried to keep up, and we were blessed to put $51,000 into the community to help 36 families. That translated to a couple of foundations giving us some of their moral funding, which in December, a lot of corporations have to give funding, and so we were able to get another $50,000 right at the end of 2021. Again, we opened it up. We received $145,000 in need requests because, again, after October of last year, all of the protections went away. So now
Right.
people are actively being put out.
Right.
And so that literally meeting with the rental people trying to get fees forgiven has been what has really consumed us. And, everything we do is volunteer based. Myself volunteering, and we have two executive directors, and we actually were able to get someone from Clayton State as well.
Nice.
So I know I'm just kind of rambling. I mean, because I get excited, but it's so much happening. And it's like a magnitude, and what we're just really trying to focus on is how can we provide what I call it as a bridge, because the next 30 days those bills are coming again.
Yeah.
But you can't sleep not knowing if you and your children about to be put out.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I know because I've been there, you know, I've been there. And it is so common, when I talk to other people, everybody has a story. Some tragic happens, rent might get increased, you might lose your job, something happens in the family, whatever the situation is. And now you're like, what am I gonna do? And there's not a lot of programs out there, especially for people that look like us, you know, so that we can avoid being on the street, so we can continue to take care of our families. They're always giving us the runaround,
That was the main feedback that I got. A lot of people were in different systems. Nobody would call, but some people just literally thanked me for calling them back, for getting an email back. Again, we had limited funding. We were not able to meet, $145,000 of need, but we were able to, help 28 families, and so far I put $38,000 in the community. Um, that's translated into us getting the Anthem Award, which gets us some international attention, things like this, letting people know that we're here. Because one of the things that I believe is, one, Black people have money. We don't necessarily have all the wherewithal and understand. A lot of times when we truly understand how money could work with us, we are now digging ourselves out of credit and those holes because we had to learn the hard way.
Right.
But like I said, let a new shoe come out. Let a new shoe drop, right?
Right.
No judgment. Let a new hairstyle. Let your favorite artist come to town.
Right.
We can figure some things out. What if our collective community comes together, just figure things out 4 times a year? What does that mean for our children? We have all these abandoned buildings, like small. One of the things we're also working on is the oyster shell. Well, I'm pulling small businesses and nonprofits together. Collectively, we could pay a $3,000 a month rent, and all of us, and maybe you do. I get them in for transition. You do mental counseling, and we could work in collaboration, because we have to end the competition, which is what they want. Because again, in all things, even thinking back to that Willie Lynch complex, if they can keep us separated and misinformation, then we are stagnant. We're not moving forward.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a generational curse, man.
And it has to be broken. And it starts with, again, I always tell people, I don't feel like I'm an elder, but at 44, we don't realize. If you think about the people in history that moved things, they were our age. Like if you're in your 20s, that's the age. That is the age. You are a change agent. There's no, you're in your 30s. By the time you're my age, we need to be funding the initiatives. We don't think about the Sidney Poitiers, and we really now are learning. Yes, he was on the, people might have thought Uncle Tom, but he was funding a lot of these civil rights protests. A lot of Aretha Franklin and those people who were in the actual public eye were funding those programming spots. We see it now with Jay-Z and Beyonce, that they're now big enough that they're able to fund prison industrial complex and get people out of jail, but they can't do it in those early starts because people will derail you.
Right.
And then we continue to have models of us coming together, because the one thing is they won't tell us no. And we continue to see that, which is why that division is so powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is very powerful, and it's really unfortunate. Now, you just mentioned derailment. So I know, yeah, I can see it. I know you've had some. Because you look like me and you're doing it for people that look like us. You're doing it for the Melanated Pearl. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the pushback that you've gotten from other sources?
Believe it or not, the main pushback I get is from Black women.
Wow.
And I feel like it comes from a place of being at the bottom so long, convincing a worthiness, and also a trust. If you think about us historically, as I keep going back to those movements, but during the right to vote for black men being lynched, black women were on the forefront, and it was white women who were like, you gonna give black men the right to vote before white women? And the answer was yes, because the patriarchy is real.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now black men have the right to vote, but they're, of course, being lynched. Black women continue to be on the forefront because these are our men, our sons who are being killed. But then white women now raise up and say, we also deserve a voice in our, the democracy. And black women were there again. And when the vote was happening, it's because we were left out. And again, we always have this, what is it called, the massaging war. We got to decide in every fight whether you're a black woman or whether you're black or if you're a woman. And creating a space where there isn't understanding, there isn't a decision. When I show up in the space as my authentic self, I'm a woman who's black and I'm a black woman. And all those things mean something equally. And they deserve recognition. And also, I just read something the other day that says we have to stop saying, giving people voice. They have a voice. We have to move out of the way and create space for that voice.
Yeah.
And so the idea has been, you talk about the controversy, getting black women to speak up. It's the first thing we talked about when we opened. You were like, it's so hard to get black women here. Because, we've been taught that there's a black man who has a story that should supersede ours. Or there may be, right now, what's happening with women, health rights, abortion, that should be on the forefront. And that comes before what's happening specifically with black women. It's like, no, there is a niche. There is something that is happening to the melanated pearls of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Those problems are specific. And so the solutions and issues have to be specific. Mm-hmm. And convincing women that, one, to trust each other enough to share their story.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the other thing. I don't want to be embarrassed because we wear these capes. We so hard. We got through it. Nothing got me down. You have to talk about crying in the shower now before you get up and put on your face.
Yeah.
Are you wearing a mask for your husband and your children? Like, has your one of the things I love with Lauryn Hill, that she once talked about, I had to reintroduce myself to my mother and father, because we'll get so caught up in the system, what the system wants us to be. Because I'll tell people very honestly, I did everything you all told me to do. Mm-hmm. I went to the college, I got married, I have 2 children, the dog, the cat. I was miserable because I wasn't serving in my purpose.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't say it to someone else until I did it for myself. And then also the fear of, I'm now going to go to my husband and say, what I want to do is invest in my community. And is this black man going to support me? And what does that look like when now I've been doing this for 4 years and I have a very good name in Clayton County. And I'm, most men would not, address themselves as Mr. Melanated Pearl, which we have to talk about as well, in that black men, we are not in competition with you.
Okay.
That's right?
That's right. We are not.
And so all of that comes into play when we're talking about truly being passionate, engaged, activists, resisting limits. We have conversations about black women raising black boys, and of course, single mothers, shout out. But if your son becomes a man and he's never seen you be properly loved, how does he now go and choose a wife and love her properly? Because we all have seen the abuse. And even if you don't want to, we all know how to cuss somebody out. We all know how to make somebody. That was modeled for us. Even if it wasn't in your home, in your community. Again, I'm going to age myself. But we know how to John, right? Yeah. We know how to make as what Tupac said, we know how to make a sister feel low.
Okay. We do.
But again, and I'm going to age myself, Tupac told us, we got our name from a woman, a game from a woman. Why we hate our women, why we rape our women. Again, yeah. He said 20 years ago, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies.
Yep. He said it. He said it.
And this is now we're in a time where, and again, I love people with mega needs and women and their sexuality, but I was like, there's a story that goes along with that, in that Also, what do you own in not just your body, but what are you doing and how you're empowering others? That's one of the things I love about Lizzo. But again, I think each of us, as I talk about our passion, break the mold, because we have to create a path for our lineage. As you're climbing the ladder, every day I know you can feel it, that weight. It's getting harder because people are attaching themselves to you. We talk about that path, but if you don't pull yourself up, there's a little girl right now who won't ever get to where you are if you don't pull. And that's to me what the cape is.
Yeah.
It's not about money. It's about a purpose-driven life where we actually, somebody can say, I know, because we talk about God and spirit. I know a girl in my community that did this, this, and this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did she do it with? Just her purpose, passion, her community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we have. We have that.
Yeah.
Available to us right now in our mindset.
Absolutely. That's why I was so glad to see the Maya Angelou coin come out this year, because this moment I saw that, I said, do you know what that says to these little girls that are that see this? Do you know what that says to that? The kind of motivation, the kind of ambition, the drive that's going to feel somebody to be that catalyst that is going to give to somebody else to change the world, that's going to change the world, that's going to change the world. Like it's a beautiful.
I mean, also, but that's where we go back to the story. When you think about mine, what was powerful about her is that this girl survived abuse. So a grown man took her innocence.
Yeah.
And what happened is that the thing that we always say happened. She told her dad killed the man. She felt personally responsible for a life at 8 of somebody who's took her in. Like, to think about, and that is the burden that Black women carry. As soon as we are born little girls, I remember, and again, when my mother felt sad, feeling that burden as a little girl, and thinking about, why the Cageburg scenes, which is again her life, that when she chose to spoke them. Also, just going back again biblically, the power of speech, and now we're talking about manifest.
Yeah.
And why it's so important to watch what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah. The power of the tongue. It's something else.
No, the power again, and that's again, I'm always go back to spiritual. That's what God gave us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't take that thing back once you said it, out loud. Once the universe catches it.
You're right. That's why.
And that's one of the things about us coming together collectively. Because I tell people, don't let me hear you tell me your ambitions, because then that's what I believe. That's what you here to do. So that now is how I look at you.
Yeah. Now I got to push you to live in that purpose.
Yep.
Otherwise, what am I here for?
Yeah.
Why am I even? How can I benefit your life if I can't even help you to be greater than who you are?
And I mean, that's it. And that really is it in a nutshell. And we try to move again at Melanated Pearl to be what Black women need. As we talk about the pandemic coming down, the oyster shell, really a collective community is what I am building. I personally believe that, one, if somebody calls and says there's a 13-year-old boy that needs mental health, we should be able to say, call this is how much money they have. And you go to, and I'm talking about my community, but Riverdale, Lovejoy, and these are the facilities.
Yeah.
Georgia is 40th in mental health. These are things we just know. And so either we're actively working towards solutions, or we are allowing things to happen. And I truly believe, again, Black women are the solution. We are the innovators. We have watched things happen. We, again, have been a part of their world as well as our world. People still talk about wearing the mask. And what we need is true funding to make sure that the specific issues that impact that melanated group are serviced. And I know that that will impact the larger communities, because Black women, taking care of Black women takes care of everybody, because we take care of everybody.
It sure does. How do you feel about that program that they have in Georgia where they're giving out like this is $850 to just Black women?
Yeah, this is the thing, because we don't need any more funding. You're talking to women who have made literally a dollar out of 15 cents. What they need is more dollars.
Mhm.
You know, even I think in Georgia, they really pinpointed. I'm gonna call it legacy. If you've grown up in the projects in that area and now they gentrified it, my grandmother grew up over here. Now I can't afford to live here,
Mhm.
and maybe I do work at the hospital, but I'm making $21. I can't afford a $3,000 loft.
Mhm.
And that should be supplemented. And why can't my child grow up in the elementary school that now has been renovated that I went to, that is now purposely built for somebody else's child to thrive? So I think that is a start to a great solution. I think they need to call it what it is the start of reparations, and it needs to be expanded
Yeah.
because that's the thing that we don't talk about in slavery. The reason that black women were valuable, and I know we go back and we think about the muscle, and yes, but black women, we go back and look at, and I spent a lot of time with finding the roots. Black women were sold with their children, but black women themselves were valuable because we literally produced the workforce.
Yeah.
And we were the work.
Yeah. Yeah. And and we was raising their kids.
I even did a thing and talking about, the first GPS. We were it. The maps to, you're thinking about the maps to freedom. They were in our head. We've always been the answer, the GPS, the oldest bones found back in Africa or what? Mary. They identified it as a black woman. And that's how we know that in her, which is in that melanated skin of ours, is every other nationality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those things are proven. So if you want to save anything, you have to have black women there because that, again, we're Mother Earth. If you really want to, get technical about it.
Yeah. 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 Our hair grows like the trees, right?
Yeah, my hair grows like the trees. I tell people all the time, if you feel bad, go outside barefoot. Go hug a tree. They are now having studies where it literally talk about that. You go into Buddhist nation and you go spiritually. Everything again in all of our books tells you everything that we ever need is already here.
Already, yes, it
We
is.
talk about cancers and we get into health, which we do talk about a lot of days because we are doing what? Process, and we want everything quick.
Yeah.
But if you go out there and grow your own garden, you eat from your own produce, I can guarantee you that a life will be lived that is fruitful.
Okay. Absolutely. You are what you eat, and whatever you intake, it it can determine how you're feeling inside, how you're feeling emotionally. So all of that,
And that starts with food, but that's true of beauty. That's true of all of our senses.
yes, what we listen to, what we
Yep.
watch, what we touch, who we even allow within our circle, whose energy we take. Yeah, all of that.
All of that is important. And that's what I tell people too. And we need to teach to our children. One of the things, and again, I mentioned twins. I'm also the mother of a black male on the autism spectrum. And I'll tell people, don't make your children go to everyone. If certain people around your child, trust your child's instinct.
Mm-hmm.
How many of our children are losing their innocence? It only takes a moment
Mm-hmm.
because what you trust a stranger over something that was literally connected to you, and you can never give it back. Trust your children.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes, again, I tell people, God, anything that is out here to harm me, going back to what we said, those principalities, ask it to be revealed to you. And again, your heart may have to be broken, but that is how you remove those distractions, those pause, because those people aren't meant to go on all parts of the journey with you.
Right. Right.
Everything is seasonal. The
Yep.
tree's gonna die. Sometimes everything ain't gonna bear fruit, and we have to learn how to let some of those things go.
Yeah. We do. We
And
have to.
that's part of also that resisting limitations, going back to the pearl. You know, we have to learn to tell ourselves no, that self-control, that somebody doesn't have to hurt you in order for you to know to walk away, that you
Right.
are worth and you are valued enough to walk in your own purpose.
Right. We have to listen to that spirit within us, because a lot of times the signs are there, but for whatever reason we ignore it.
You know those flags was red. You thought it said that look maroon, that look pink. You know that was a red flag.
Okay.
With the job, with the man, with
With
the
your friends.
your friends,
Yeah.
that decision to make. And we have to really start believing we are worth one the weight and whatever that weight is, and release the fear of not being good enough. Again, just going back to like what is that number barrier? The fear that we are not good enough. When I'm saying it's us. We are what we are waiting for.
Yeah. Have you seen I don't know if you watched the show Queens?
No.
The show with Brandy and
No, I not I actually do not watch TV. But I think I saw a couple of because they do the rap battle.
yeah, they're little
I mean, I haven't seen it. I've seen a couple of highlights, but yeah, I know like a group of friends broke up and like came back together.
Yeah. Well, the character in the Valeria, that's the Puerto Rican girl. She's like off the chain during the whole thing, and she goes and marries this guy out of nowhere, whatever, because she goes through a crisis. But he kept trying to love her, and she kept pushing him back. She just kept, resisting it, but he was really trying to love her to be what he felt she deserved. But she finally came out and said, you know what? I was never supposed to make it. I don't feel like I was worth it. I don't feel like I deserve that love. I don't feel like, I'm supposed to get that. And I find it so common in so many women. So many women. I have so many friends that I've grown up with, and I look at them and be like, oh, they're beautiful. But then when I talk to them, they're getting plastic surgery. They have low self-esteem. They're in these terrible relationships. They're unhappy at their job. And it's just like,
And I think that's okay. That's okay. Like, and willing to just suffer. And that's the thing is like black women deserve love without suffering. Black women deserve peace without suffering first. It's and the concept is something that we first have to believe.
mm-hmm.
And if you look at historically, there's never been a place, and that's why I really believe it's our time and our turn. It's never been a place in history where the United States had ever even focused on black women, where there was money on black women, that someone ever said, like Goldman Sachs is even now saying, we need to specifically start funneling some of our funding around and to and for black women.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for COVID, to be honest with you, because so much money came out of everywhere, especially for Black women that own small businesses.
Yep.
Even to this day, there's still a lot of money floating around for Black women that own small businesses. And
Absolutely.
we have to just be resourceful and know how to take
And that's again what us trying to capture is like, tell your story. How do you get funding ready? And you don't have to do these things in isolation. So that's again where the oyster shell comes in. We meet the second Wednesday. We're actually having a meeting tomorrow. And we also try to give something at each meeting that's going to help launch your business forward. Because of course, people need to walk away with feedback, but also what is the next step?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you create a safe place to do that? So we're starting small, as I said, and with 2022 at Melanated Pearl, in addition to helping vulnerable families, we are really trying to position Black female entrepreneurs to launch their nonprofits, their small businesses. And the reason that collaboration is so important, because oftentimes mission-driven organizations, we have a mission, but we need the small businesses to actually make our missions come to light.
Yeah.
If you have a food pantry, I have the people who need the food. I don't produce any food. It's those connections that we don't realize. And if we can actually get corporations, which again, we know businesses have that morality giving or those donations, if we can help them funnel that to specific people in their community. And now those people are shopping in those stores. That is how we continue to circle those dollars in our community, like you said, shopping local, shopping in Clayton County, or shopping in Locust Grove, wherever those nonprofits are. And we have to be strategic and specific. And again, I think authentic in our approach.
Absolutely. Now, you also have a program within your corporation for for hygiene.
Yes. So we have been working with female entrepreneurs to do homeless hygiene kits. Basically, people do not realize that most of the homeless shelters do not automatically provide feminine hygiene products. Again, similar to food, they are based on donations. So we were actually able to partner with Save Our Jewels that had a specific non-toxic product, and we were able to help several local Atlanta companies in 2020. 2021 we actually were able to expand to some shelters in Buffalo. The reason that was important is that it really highlighted for me in Clayton County the limited number of zoning areas that we have for people to create, or nonprofits to actually have restoration centers, transit. We only have 3 shelters in Clayton County, and they're kind of in the outskirts.
Wow.
Trying to find them is difficult. So, of course, that means waiting lists. So, one of the things we're trying to even now understand is, how do you start a transitional program? In a residential area, you could be run out because it's like you don't want that element in your neighborhood, because people have a negative perception of homelessness. So if you go to a commercial area, then it's like, okay, is every robbery or something going to be blamed because we have people who are in transition? But if we don't do something, what do we expect? Because the other quote from me is that the poor will eat the rich. We are seeing increasingly extended stays or overstay. You go down, the parking lots are full. That means people have been evicted. Families are now living in extended stays.
Yeah.
Paying daily. People are living in the woods.
Yeah.
They're breaking down tent cities all over the metro Atlanta area.
Yeah.
The spring is coming. We also, I think we mentioned inflation. So several of the elders that I helped in December 2021, my rent was $750. Nothing changed, but in January, now it's $915. Where do I find the extra $200+ to pay now this rent?
Right. And you're on fixed income.
On a fixed income. And so you have elders who are now looking to move in together, literally trying to, that's what's happening. And if we don't do something to relieve the pressure, because homeless doesn't have an age, it is from children to, I saw a young lady earlier today, older lady, looked like she was in her 70s, in a motorized wheelchair. And it's, it was a rainy day. I don't know where she was going, but even it's like the care of our elders.
Right. Right.
And I want just not one of those people who can watch it happen. And of course, we're in a tinderbox, like global war is happening around us.
Right.
And reminds us that only the flip of a switch can, there by the grace of God, there go I. That these people 30, 45 days ago were having a podcast like you and I. And somebody made a decision and their lives changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And even the privilege of that. Yeah. So that's even the other thing I think, in Black people are starting to have some privileges of Americanism. And then how do we now use that? And I'm going to be specific, to push the Black agenda forward.
What is the Black agenda, though?
That's where, one, it has to be that the end of division. We got one, community. It has to be community. There cannot be a competition continual between Black women, Black men. Right. We cannot continue to have competition between light skin, dark, like all of these things. And it starts with a collective community.
When we have people that are in those high positions, and they're constantly putting these images in front of us, like I hate to say it, but let's take Tyler Perry, for example, okay? And a lot of his movies and the plots, the dark skinned person is the villain, the light skinned guy is he's the hero. The dark skinned woman is going through hell with her situation. The light skinned lady, she's just living her best life. We constantly they're constantly putting images like that in front of us. That even I remember growing up, there was rumors going around saying that part of the reason Brandy and Monica was going at it was because one was dark skinned and one was light skinned. We always hear stories like that, and it's like, when are we going to say enough is enough? When are the people that are in front of the camera? And I applaud Monique. I applaud Monique for standing up, and saying, okay, this is it. But when I mean, how can we possibly decide, okay, collectively, this is what we're going to do when this is what we're always being pushed with? Because even when Ice Cube was trying to do something, everybody had a problem with him because he was talking to Trump. So what, he was talking to Trump? If that's where the money was going to come from, why does it matter? As long as we do what we need to do with it. But he was getting all this pushback, especially from Black women. Like, so how, what do we
Well,
do?
again, I would say one very small solution. Like I said, I'm starting with 15. And
Okay.
if you think about, we always are talking about these scams and schemes to go out. Like, if to start with 15 who really get it, and then the next year, if everybody get one person under their belt, now it's 30. And if those, again, we're looking at organizations and small businesses who are employing people, then you're looking at the mindset. And as I said, I feel reason I, feel Clayton County is such a unique place is really believing and thinking about Michael Brown. And I know this might sound crazy, but the pivot, but what I recall from that situation was that everybody around it was white. And the solution, if they had Black leaders and the police who were policing were Black, and if it was just, remember, because again, what we forget in Georgia, I guess in the metro Atlanta specifically, is that we're not like the rest of the world. And I can say that for Clayton County, in that 69% Black means that our Clayton County commissioner is a Black man.
Mhm.
Out of the 7 regions in Clayton County, 5 out of the 7, the chief of police are Black men. The the CFO of Clayton County Public Schools is a Black female. The Clayton County Beasley is a Black male. So when I remember when Mike Brown was happening, and again, this was the start of Melanated Pearl back in 20, what is that, 17, 18.
Mike Brown was like
But if you remember, that
15, 14.
narrative was just like, we want our people in our community. And I looked up and I felt like, okay, I got my people in my community, but we still got problems with the police. We're still over police. We're still, and the people look like me. So now we're talking about a mindset.
Right.
So then, if that is what they say is the solution, that the people need to look like you, then Clayton County is an area where this could be a solution, and what they need is somebody to lead that solution. And that is what I mean. Not for nothing, I feel like I am poised in position to do. And like, where the leaders, one thing too, Clayton County just did in 2021. We have the most Black female elected officials. There were all these pictures. Everything was everyone. Okay, that should mean something. Hey, girl, hey. What does that mean about the policies that are happening as it relates to Clayton County? Because the children are now Black. The people in leadership are now Black. And now you're saying that our elected leaders, specifically in this small county, are Black females. So now we can have specific conversations, and I think that's where the solutions have to start coming. The problem then becomes, we got to have the hard conversations to hold each other accountable.
Mm.
And that's where we are.
Right.
That's where we are. Everybody can't get my vote. Now you can't just get my vote because you look like me. What are you going to bring? What are you going to do? And now we got to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Which means now we actually have to say to our community, it's more than one black person on the ballot. So it's not just voting Democrat or just, you got to go listen. You
Yeah.
got to actually know what impacts your community so that the person who says they're going to do something in your community, that is who you're voting for.
Yeah. And you gotta hold them accountable.
And you have to hold them
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it was in Clayco, I think during the pandemic where uh the little boys got harassed by the police, right?
Yep. And then again, you can see immediately, I was very proud of the response because they had a town hall immediately.
Mm-hmm.
The black chief of police went out. They went to the community again, and that I felt, even though it shouldn't have happened, I felt the response is the solution that we say that we need. It was within 72 hours. There was a response, and it involved the community. The children got to speak. The police got to speak. The store owner got to speak. There was an actual resolution. And then one of the things people don't realize, 6 months later, a community center actually opened now over in Point South area. But it is now at least giving kids in that community a place to go.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about that story, what would the kids do? They were wandering around.
There's not, because I know
They
that
were
area. I
just
used to live
wandering
that area.
around.
There's a gas station, there's a corner store. So they could have been going to get candy. We don't know. And it's amazing to hear that there was actually a resolution. They opened a community center because
Yeah, now Flint is right there, brand new. And I think that is the one that's in conjunction with the Boys and Girls Club. I may be misspeaking, but that's even another thing that was a big deal because Clayton Parks and Recreation have never let in the Y in the Boys and Girls Club. So even knowing, and I say that because Clayton County truly has systems in place. Me and my husband, my children, we were baseball parents for 7 years. Clayton County's Parks and Rec is a very solid program. Until your child go, and of course into high school, which of course then they play at the high school. But my thing is, how are we using that for community advocacy? Because the parents are out listening and watching their kids play. How do we now turn that into voter advocacy? So those, and now we have to start asking the nonprofits and those in grassroots and small businesses to be a part. I think that that's kind of where we are when we say the solution, because people are like, we got to go to community meeting.
Yeah.
Let's go speak. I've spoken at the commission meeting about missing person because something that happened to me personally. And what did I do? Again, you can only speak for 3 minutes. Will you come to the commission meeting, and when I speak on this topic, stand? So that they see that this is a community support. That's a community organizing strategy that anybody can use.
Yeah.
So if something happened to you, and people have reached out. So if something happened to me, would you be willing to pull that together? Absolutely. And that's how we start. It's not always going to be smooth. And this is the sad thing. In order for true change to happen, something has to happen first.
Yeah.
And that usually has to be a negative something.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Like it's sad, but it's been 10 years since Trayvon Martin. Like it's been 50, 60 years since Emmett Till. We just got an Emmett Till.
Just got a lynching bill.
So the sad thing is, like we're talking about Mike Brown, like the steam of these things wear off, and then it's like, somebody else's child has to be sacrificed to get the movement going. Unless we take our local communities and again, I don't know, I can't say that we're going to be the best solution, but I can say that anybody connected through the oyster shell, we are committed to funding them and holding them accountable for the services that they're going to bring to Clayton County. And then repeat, wash and repeat, and wash and repeat until we get it right. And hopefully nationally we can get funding and some other communities can pick it up. And help us perfect it. Because I don't have all the solutions and answer. What I have is the passion and the true belief. Because I believe without a shadow of a doubt that Black women are the solution.
Oh yeah. They often say once Black women get fed up, the world better watch out.
And they can't have our children anymore. That's the thing too. And I love that, I have 24 millennials like, no, I'm not doing. My son says that he's like, Mom, I've watched you be a martyr. I'm not willing to do it, but I deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one of the things in another conversation I talk about, a conversation me that is very important. And my son talks about his legacy. And that again, the difference is he's been raised, his parents been married 21 years, but my son will say it is important who you give your seed to because you're building legacy. How many of our young boys think that way?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
And that we got to go back to the word. Like every time there's a possibility that I'm leaving a legacy here. That is what the relationship is, and what legacy are we leaving?
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I know, I mean, we've kind of gone all around the circle. That's a man say what? You can talk about it all, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So if somebody wanted to donate to your organization, follow your movement, get involved, how can they do that?
So one, I love to say we are unique in the name. So Melanated, Google us, Melanated Pearl. Melanatedpearl.org is our website. Melanated Pearl Corp on IG. If you do PayPal, Melanated Pearl at Gmail. Cash App is going to be Melanated Pearl Corp. And I always tell people look for our logo. And that's basically how you can follow us. If you want some pearl swag and some girl, pearl swag gear, we always want people ultimately to know, Black women in particular, when you see this, there is something there for you. This is the Red Cross for Black women.
Okay.
And if it is not me, somebody in my circle, because ultimately, as I said, educate, uplift, and empower. Education has been a pathway for me. Knowledge, I believe, is key. Every Black historian legacy, we know that education is a powerful tool. Uplift, and that's where we got to purposely rebuke division. When you see Black people doing something, highlight that. I mean, we got to get rid of this jealousy and then empower. I can't do it, but I know somebody who can.
Yeah.
And empower them, the young people behind us, that you again pass that torch when you see someone doing something, and really the idea is to uplift them, the hand up, not a handout. And if we collectively approach everything in that mindset, collectively they won't tell us no.
You're right. Strength in numbers.
That's right.
So it's definitely been a pleasure talking to you. And I really enjoyed listening to all the knowledge that you shared with us today. And I'm sure that somebody watching is going to be motivated. Somebody's going to be. So yeah, it's been dope. And I just want to say thank you again for, sharing your time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I like to say, hey world, it's your girl, Melanated Pearl, bringing that black light to things that aren't quite right. And again, with that black light, you know what a black light does? It exposes everything. So the last thought is stop hiding your authentic self. Whatever thing happened to you, it was supposed to happen. That trauma, that hurt is part of your story, and it is because you got to uncover that wound, let it air out. And when you do that, that's when your true passion will be released. It is scary, but again, that is what we're helping each other do. Iron sharpens iron, and Melanated Pearl is a safe place for Black women.
I know that's right. So thank you so much again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, honey. Again, thank you so much. Keep asking us, allowing us to share our voice. There are so many people out here in this platform. Again, it may not be now, it might be next year that someone will hear it, and they going to be the change that we're actively seeking. So we just have to be the light.
That part.
I love it. All right, talk to you soon.
All right, you have a good one.